Kari, thank you so much for jumping on the AIM podcast.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
I'm super pumped about this one. My first question for you is, who do you think would win right now in a bench press contest?
Me, of course.
Honestly, you're probably right.
I
No.
do have the New York State bench press record. That was like from 2014. And last I looked, like 2 years ago, I still had it. So I don't know if I do right now, but it was for like 140 pounds and I benched 240.
That's literally incredible. As I was kind of putting together the outline for this episode, I was listening to the episode with Michael Chernow, who we just spoke about, and he came on the AIM podcast, but that was one of the stats that he listed out at the beginning, and I didn't know that. And I was like, that's actually very impressive.
Thank you.
Not to
I'm
say
glad
that.
he was bragging about me too.
I love it. I love it. Well, no, Kari, I think we're super grateful that you'd come on to this podcast. Basically what we've done here is really try to build a community around this mindset of just having ambition and what that looks like and how everyone can apply that to their life in different ways. Obviously, I'm a former college athlete. You've been incredibly successful as an athlete. And so we've applied ambition in a lot of our lives to those areas, but I'm sure there's a lot of other places you have as well. But just to kind of set the stage, I'd love to hear how you got into fitness and how that whole journey kind of started for you.
Yeah, so my parents actually met at a gym. So I joke with people that I'm like, oh, I was born into fitness. My parents met at a gym. They were both very athletic, both college athletes as well. And then when I was 3 years old, I got put into gymnastics with my sister, who was 2 years older. They were going to put her in gymnastics, so they're like, well, we might as well put Carrie in too, because otherwise she would just be sitting and watching. So it started at a very, very young age. And my parents put me in soccer, t-ball, swimming, a lot of sports. And I just kept going back to the gymnastics. So that's where it started at a young age.
That's super cool. And then how did that kind of progress? Because I know gymnastics was kind of like your foundation, right? And then obviously you start to explore other things that you became very successful at as well.
Yeah, so I did gymnastics for 18 years. I finished at the University of Michigan, and similar to you, I was a college athlete. We were four-time Big Ten champions, so I always have to humble brag about that. But after I was done with those 18 years of gymnastics, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I love the sport through and through, but mentally I was ready to be done. 18 years is a long time for anything, and I started competing at 5 years old, so 5 to 21. That's a long time to be competing and just specialize in one sport. But I loved being active and I still wanted to do something related to that, but I wasn't quite sure.
That's super interesting you bring that up. And I think that's something you see like a lot of people face these days. If you want to excel in a sport and compete at a high level, even collegiately or beyond, it's almost like you really do have to focus in on one thing and really, really just like devote a lot of yourself to it, versus like, back in the day when things were less competitive, you could play every sport every season.
Yeah, like you said, I feel like the playing field is just everyone's getting better and better at each sport. And yeah, I was introduced to a lot of different sports. And I mean, I'm pretty sure it was like when I was like 5 years old, I was like, I wanted to do gymnastics. And so my parents tried other things and I was just like, gymnastics, gymnastics. So I did a little bit of dance until I was like 10, but that was mainly to help with my gymnastics. It wasn't that I was doing dance separately. I hated it, but they told me it was going to help with gymnastics. So I was like, okay, fine. And so, yeah, luckily for me, I found my love at a very young age. And I know like gymnasts peak when they're about 16 years old. I feel like it's getting a little bit older nowadays. But when I was competing, I peaked at like 16, 17. So it was important that I started young and specialized in that sport.
No doubt. I'm super actually, honestly, personally interested in like, what was your transition like getting out of gymnastics? Like I had a very interesting transition putting away the basketball. Cause like that, like similar to you, like I didn't compete at a high level like you did, as a high level as you did. But I mean, since I can remember, like that was everything. That was my life, my identity for most of my life. And making that transition was tough. How did you kind of handle that transition? And what were some of the things that you did?
So I think what made the transition as easy as it could have been is knowing that like my senior year of college was my last year. I had, done the other 3 years in college and I knew after my senior year, like I was going to be done with gymnastics. And that was one reason I chose the University of Michigan, because they were a very good academic school. There was some other schools that I looked at that were better at gymnastics, but I was like, once I'm done, like I want to have a good education as well. But finishing just took advantage of each and every competition. My senior year, especially every event that I did, just going out there and enjoying the moment, enjoying my team, enjoying the wins and everything. And my senior year ended up being our best year. We placed sixth in the country, which was incredible. And like I said, the last year was the best year. And mentally, I knew when I was done, it was time to move on to something else. And I talked to our strength and conditioning coach, because I was like, Lou, I love working out, but I'm done with gymnastics. And he like looked at me and he's like, you would be perfect for weightlifting. So it kind of sparked my interest for weightlifting after gymnastics.
Did you like when you started to get into weightlifting, was there, obviously there's similarities, a lot of differences. What were some of the things that kind of drew you to making that change and going into weightlifting?
It was different. It was totally different. In gymnastics, you do so much body weight work. You do like, it's all like just like pull-ups and handstands for your conditioning stuff. I mean, like, I think the heaviest dumbbells I touched in gymnastics were like 15 pounds to do lunges.
Wow.
And yeah, and I didn't squat with a barbell until between my sophomore and junior year of college. And so I was older than a lot of other athletes. And we just did it during the summer, because the old mindset was that lifting weights was going to make you bulky. So coaches didn't want you to lift weights, especially in a sport like gymnastics. But then it ended up being like, I ended up being healthy my junior, and then my healthiest year was my senior year. And our strength conditioning coach was like, it's because you're stronger. So like, you're just well supported. And so after doing a little bit of back squatting, we didn't do any cleans or anything very advanced. But after kind of dabbling with that, I was like, this is way different than gymnastics. And I have a coach that's going to be guiding me in it. So it was cool to follow his guidance. And then I also got to do an internship with the University of Strength and Conditioning, or University of Michigan Strength Conditioning program while I was doing it. So it made that transition easy because I was going to be teaching it. So I figured I might as well practice it.
That's super cool. I bet you learned a lot in that capacity as well, just like soaking it up in that sort of role, but also, like you're saying, applying it to what you're actually doing.
Yeah. And it was cool because I got to work with a variety of athletes. We got to work with swimmers, field hockey, volleyball, lacrosse, baseball, like track and field, so many different sports. And so I knew basically gymnastics, and I had seen like obviously I knew the other sports, but it's cool to see what happens behind the scenes in the weightlifting room that makes them so successful on the field.
No doubt. And did you actually like formally compete in weightlifting?
Yes. So I did one competition, and that was in September or October after I graduated from college. So right after I graduated, worked my way like right into weightlifting. And unfortunately, after that competition, I had like some back pain, and it ended up being that I had a bulged disc in my L4, L5. So the doctor told me I couldn't squat for 3 months. So obviously weightlifting, you need to squat a lot. So that was taken out of the picture, and I got a little bit of carpal tunnel. The doctor doesn't think it was related to weightlifting. He's like, it was the years of gymnastics and your body is like finally done. So it's like almost in shock, and it was like protecting itself for so long. And then now like you've stopped. So it kind of just like released, and then your body realized the pain.
Wow. So post injury, you're able to recover obviously from that and prepare for your next kind of stage. Talk about that transition. So I just love hearing, because you've done so many cool things. You've kind of explored so many different modalities of fitness. And obviously, CrossFit is something you've had extreme success in. Was that the next transition, and what was kind of the origin story getting into that sport?
So there was actually two other sports before that, but they were both very short-lived. So I'll make it quick.
Okay.
So I actually got into competing in physique when I hurt my back, because I still wanted to compete in something. So for those people that don't know, it's basically bodybuilding, but not as muscular. So there's like different divisions. There's bikini, figure, physique, bodybuilding, going from least muscular to most muscular. I've always had like an athletic body type. And so a friend at the gym that I ended up personal training at was like, Kari, you should do a physique show. and I couldn't squat, but I could do leg extensions and leg curls. So I could like work my way around my back injury. So I could do upper body and then that. So I ended up doing a physique show, but I didn't like it because I didn't like being told how to look. And so I was like, this was great. It made me learn a lot about nutrition. Um, and so it was good to learn how to eat to become leaner, and it just trained just to build muscle. But like I said, I didn't like being told how to look. So I was like, okay, next. Then I moved to New York City during this time and was still personal training. One of the other trainers at the gym I was working at was a powerlifting coach. And he just like saw me lifting and he's like, you're pretty strong. Like you should try a powerlifting competition. And at that, I was like, what exactly is a powerlifting competition? He's like, you do a 1 rep max, squat, bench press, and deadlift. And I was like, okay. I was like, but I have no idea what my maxes are. So he kind of coached me along the way. And then I did a powerlifting competition in November of 2014, which is how we talked about like the New York State bench press record a little bit earlier.
Yeah. That's super,
and then,
super cool.
Thank you. And then going into CrossFit. So during this time, I also I had a friend in college that kept telling me, you should do CrossFit. You should do CrossFit. You are really good at like the strength and conditioning side of gymnastics. And I was just like, no, like I don't want anything related to gymnastics. So I kept telling her no year after year. And then because I graduated in 2011 and then I didn't start CrossFit until November of 2014. And then finally I saw it on ESPN and I was like, I could be pretty good at this. And also a coach of CrossFit contacted me and I was like, okay, there's like too many things that are coming together. I need to give this a try. But I was like, I already signed up for this powerlifting competition. After that, I'll go all in for CrossFit.
That is incredible. I want to dive into your CrossFit your CrossFit career a little deeper. But before I do that, something that I personally have struggled with, and I've talked about on the show and with other people, even outside of the podcast, is like, I spent so much of my life training for basketball, and everything I did strength and conditioning was all catered to increasing and bettering my performance on the court. So it was very focused and strategic for that reason. Now that I'm not playing, I have the freedom to kind of train however. And I've been like, I don't know what I want to do. Like I like to run. I ran a marathon. I like to lift heavy. I like to bodybuild. I like to put on muscle mass, and I like HIIT style, intense CrossFit Metcon kind of workouts. And so out of everything you've done, you've gotten a chance to experience a lot of things. What has been kind of your favorite and why? And what are some things that you've really kind of found that you truly like in the fitness world?
Yeah. So I competed in CrossFit for 7 years. So as you can see, I feel like I did weightlifting for a couple months, powerlifting for a couple months, physique for a couple months, but I did CrossFit for 7 years. And it was just like similar to you. It was just, there's so many different things to do and to learn and to get better at. And I just loved like the high intensity aspect of it. Like I just felt so fulfilled after like pushing myself. And so I think just having so many different things to learn and movements, whether they're body weight or dumbbell or barbell, or like you said, running, swimming, biking, like whatever it is, there's always something to work on and to get better at. And it reminded me of gymnastics because there was so many different things in gymnastics, skills to learn or skills to perfect, that, I think that's why I liked CrossFit so much, because I just get bored doing one thing. Some people love just running. And I'm like, no, like I want to do different running and burpees and like dumbbell lunges. I want to do just like multiple things. And so that's definitely like what I enjoyed about CrossFit. And I still enjoy doing like those high intensity style workouts, even though I don't compete anymore.
That's super, super cool. I love that. I think that's what kind of, out of everything I've done, like even in the short stint of doing some CrossFit workouts, it's like you literally get the best of every world kind of blended in one. And it's like, there's never, I think for me, when I was training for my marathon, I got this kind of run down with just running every day. I was like the same thing every day. But with CrossFit, it's like, who knows what I'm about to do today? Like it's going to challenge me in a new way. And it just keeps you kind of mentally creative as well.
Yeah, definitely. And then you can like watch your progress too. Like when you're becoming stronger or when you're becoming fitter, like, I mean, similar to running, because people like to track like, okay, I ran 5 miles in this amount of time. It's like, okay, in this 10-minute workout, I did this many reps. And then like a month later you do it and you're like, oh, I just got 10 more reps. So it's like cool because like you said, you can mix it up so many ways. But then if you also want to like track your progress, then you can do that as well.
100%. While you are exploring all these different modalities of fitness, you're also doing it in a very competitive sense. And I'm sure, like, I can tell just by talking to you briefly, just, you have this energy about you that I can tell you're just a competitor. Where do you think that stems from, and what goes into being a successful winner in your opinion?
Yeah, so I'm definitely a competitor through and through. I don't know if it's something like, that I just had from a young age. I was always competitive in obviously gymnastics, but then, board games and whatever I ended up playing, even if it was just like catch with my family or pot fly or whatever it ended up being. Like I've always just been so competitive. And I mean, I know I've been successful in gymnastics, in, especially CrossFit, because I am like so competitive and I'm an all in kind of person. And when I put my mind to something, then I give it my best. And I think that's what makes a winner. And that's why I've been successful. Like when I was in New York, it was, focused just on training. Like I didn't go to crazy restaurants or go out and party. I wanted to do CrossFit, and everything that I did every day, every minute was like, is this getting me better at CrossFit? So it was just like such a I was just like single mind focused on what I was doing in the task at hand. I didn't get distracted by other people. Oh, we should go hang out and do this. We should hang out and do that. It got lonely at times for sure, but I knew I wanted to be successful as an athlete in CrossFit. So I gave it my best, and it definitely paid off.
No question. I know a lot of people, throw around the term or the phrase, you fall in love with the process, or like you gotta love the grind, or like those little sayings. I think it's interesting. I love just talking to people that have competed and performed at that high of a level, and you see, you can look up your Instagram or Google your name or look at your YouTube videos and see all the highlights, right? You can see all the great things you've accomplished, but what you don't see, at least in the full transparent depth, is like the process it took to get to that point. And I think that's the disconnect for a lot of people, is because they see what you're doing and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to be her. I want to achieve what she's done. But they're not willing to commit to that timeline of every single day you chipping away at that. How did you approach that grind? I know you talk about like the process gets lonely sometimes. Like, what are some things that you had to deal with kind of along that journey to get to, ultimately where you were?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of different things. I mean, one is missing out on friends' weddings or baby showers, any special events like that, or even sometimes family vacations. My family every year, like in March, went to Florida together to Anna Maria Island, and it was like during the CrossFit Open. I'm like, you guys go, but it was like my brother's spring break, and so it worked out. But I was like, you guys go every year, and I'm like, I can't come. Like, I need to focus on this competition. And like I said, like I had friends that got married, and I'm like, I'm sorry, like I'll send you a gift, but I can't go. Or even like bachelorette parties, or even when I would like go home for Christmas, I would go to the gym and I would have to work out for like 4 to 6 hours. And luckily, like my family, they're my number one support system, which, you have to have. And even like going out to eat, and I'm like, I'm not going to eat out. Or like Christmas Day, I was like, okay, like I'll eat what you guys are eating, and I'll eat like a little bit of dessert, but it was like just this day. Like other than that, like I know what I'm eating, and I'm sticking to that. And I feel like that's something that people don't think about. And like even my travel, like whenever I was traveling in or out of season, it's like, okay, I'm going to work out at this time. So I need to book my flight at this time. When I'm away, I'm going to go to this gym, and I would contact gyms. Like I would make sure all
Wow.
of my training, everything was set up before I left. I would make sure I either brought food or I had a kitchen so I could go to the grocery store. I would figure out where the grocery store was to cook food. It was like everything was just like so lined up. And I feel like that's something people don't get. And they're like, oh, you have to work out for a living. And it's like, yes, but there is a lot of other things that go into it. Like I said, when you're traveling, like you can't just skip your workouts, because somebody that you're competing against is not skipping their workouts. And so it really was like everything centered around being the best athlete that I could be, and, trying to make it on the CrossFit Games podium.
That's so true. That's so good. Wow. I mean, I've been traveling a decent amount the last few weeks. And I'm like, I'm so upset. Like my diet's out of whack, everything. But like, I got to prioritize it better. Like if I want it to be, where I want it to be, it's got to be something that's top of mind, and I'm focusing, and it might take some more effort. It might take some more sacrifice to get things done. But ultimately, I do believe like we all can can do those things at a high level.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, that doesn't mean like when you travel, like you can't go out to eat and enjoy some food, but it's like if you're gone for 5 days and you're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner out, then it's like that it adds up quick, just like with how your body feels. I feel like I'm so like in tune with my body. So if I eat out a couple meals, like after that, I was like, my stomach is not happy with me. I just have low energy. So that's why I like to make it a priority, even if it's at least like breakfast, that I can have at the hotel, like in my room. I usually have oatmeal and sometimes bring like protein powder, apples or nuts or easy things that you can just like travel with to make sure at least like some of your eating will be on track.
I love that. That's super, super cool. I want to dive into what you're doing now. I think it's so cool to see, all the things you've accomplished in your athletic career. And I know you're still training super hard, but now you're able to use your platform to help hundreds of thousands of people. And that's what gets me fired up, because not only are you amazing, but now you're able to make an impact on other lives. What do you talk a little bit about what you're doing now, how you're kind of structuring your programming? I know you have several programs that have kind of put you on the map that have done really well, and you've got some exciting stuff coming together. But talk about that, getting into that and how you're using your platform in that way.
Yeah, so I started PowerAbs in December of 2018 with a gentleman who is CEO of M. Gordon Publishing, and he like came to me in New York, and we were just talking because I was good at gymnastics, like in CrossFit, and so first that's how it started. But then, like I told him, I had got a lot of compliments on my abs, and like his assistant was like, we should create an abs program. So we created PowerAbs, which did 10-minute day. Completely equipment free workout, and people loved it. From there, we just extended into different body parts. And then this last September, released PowerHIIT, which hit, it's 10-minute body weight or light dumbbell program. And like you said, we have hundreds of thousands of people around the world doing it, which is so cool, especially to be able to use my platform just to help other people get better and healthier. And I tell people, like especially when I was competing, I took so much. So it's cool to be able to use my knowledge and my experience to help other people. And our newest program is called 21 Strong. We did a 21-day summer body challenge with 21-minute workouts. And a lot of our members did the program and they loved it. They fell in love with these 21-minute workouts because basically it combines my Pearce Power program, which are body part specific, legs, glutes, arms, and abs, and combine 1 minute of rest, then you go right into a full body fit workout. So it's 21 minutes and it's super intense. We talked about, high intensity workouts earlier. It's super intense, but it's 21 minutes and it was incredible seeing the results that people got, and they all wanted a program. So we're like, okay, 21 strong, 21 minutes, and you just need a pair of dumbbells.
That's incredible. How can you get benefits from 21 minutes? Explain that, because I think a lot of people come to fitness with this mindset of, oh, I've got to train in the gym for an hour plus to truly see a difference in my physical health. How can you get so much done in 21 minutes?
Yeah, and I think that just comes down to what you're doing. It was something that I saw a lot, especially in the challenge. People are like, wow, I got more done in 21 minutes than my normal 45-minute workout. Like I said, it's not easy. Like I was doing the workouts and I was just like pouring sweat when I was done. But you start out with a body part, whether you just work your arms or abs or legs or glutes for the first 10 minutes. And that, like, I like adding movements that don't isolate just like one body part. Usually you're working multiple muscles, even if it's like arms, it's like, okay, we're working your shoulders and either your bicep or tricep. And I like to include it with like a little bit of ab or a little bit of leg, just like other muscles, because when you work more muscles, you build more muscle, which then increases your resting metabolic rate too. And then getting the heart rate up, so you're burning calories while you're doing it. And like I said, it's 10 minutes. It's basically nonstop 10 minutes, but then you get a minute of rest, which was great. And then you go into a 10-minute workout that's just super high intensity. Your heart's going to be pumping. And it works, like I said, your entire body. So you're working so many different muscles to burn more calories at a high intensity. So even when you're done, like I have an Apple Watch and like it shows my heart rate stays elevated for a while after I finish the workout. So it's hard and you push, but you're like, it's 21 minutes. I know I can push for 21 minutes and getting to, because during the challenge, we all got to do the workout together because I was doing lives. And then in our programs, I have two super fit demonstrators. So people get to work out with the demonstrators, which makes it more fun and makes them push themselves harder than they would if they were doing it by themselves.
I think that's amazing. And it's cool. We talked the other night, and I think a lot of times, even myself, sometimes I catch myself as things get busy, your week gets busy, the days you got meetings piling up, things, obligations, picking up people, whatever. I think sometimes people make fitness be the first thing to go, just because it's not a convenient thing, that they're dealing with. And so for you to create this program that allows you to get so much benefit from a 21-minute window with minimum equipment and still see these crazy results and just be like the healthiest version of yourself, I think that's incredible. And I wish more people would talk about it, but I'm excited you're doing this because I think it's something people can really benefit from.
Yeah, thank you. And I feel like that's something like, even like, our 10-minute programs, people love them and get amazing results on those. And it's like, no matter how much time you have, like you can do something. And even with our 21-minute programs, we've seen people do 10 minutes and then they don't have 21 minutes. So they do 10 minutes in the morning and then they do 10 minutes at night. And it's like, just do it for yourself. I feel like you said, life gets busy, but it's like, I know you have 10 minutes. Like, stop watching that Netflix episode or do it during the Netflix episode. I don't care. And just get it in because you feel so much better after you work out. And I think like I'm passionate about working out. Like I've worked out basically my entire life. And I just love how it makes me feel. Like if I go a few days without working out, I'm like, something is missing and I'm going crazy. And I like end
Yes.
up like feeling lethargic. And it's like crazy because it's like you work out and it takes a lot of energy, but then you get those endorphins going and you just feel better after you work out. So people are like, oh, it's going to make me tired. I'm already tired. I'm like, I promise it's going to like wake you up and make you feel
Yeah.
good.
That's so true. That's so good. If I don't sweat during the day, I get like I just can't function properly. My brain doesn't work. I don't think creatively. Like I think there's a lot of misconceptions with that. Like you're saying, sometimes people think, oh, it's gonna make me drag or it's gonna make me tired. But a lot of times I'm way more effective in other areas of my life when I prioritize my physical health, no doubt.
Yeah, I agree. And two, like we've seen people do the programs and it's like you work out and you feel good. And then all of a sudden you start eating healthier and you start drinking more water instead of drinking soda. Like you end up making these better choices in your life just because you feel better and you're like, shoot, now I'm not going to eat that donut because I just did a hard workout. Like that's going to waste my workout. So I'm going to choose that sweet potato instead. And so you start making these healthier choices. Or you're like, oh man, now I just want water. Like I don't want anything else that has like sugar, like the sugary drinks and stuff. So you start with, the workout and then it just creates these healthier habits in your life.
And I'm so glad you touched on that because that was kind of the next question I wanted to ask you. Training and fitness is so important. Like you have to have the right program. You have to be doing things that are going to help you get better. Obviously you can do a lot of different types of fitness, but doing something that's catered for, what you're trying to accomplish is really important from a fitness standpoint. From a nutrition standpoint, I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about that. How important is your diet and nutrition in this overall health equation? And what are some tips and tricks you could give us for that?
Yeah. So I agree. It is super important because what you put in your body is how you fuel your body. And too, like I just mentioned, if you eat crap, then you're going to feel like crap. And if you eat well, then you're going to feel good. And then you're going to get in better workouts because you're fueling your body. And that doesn't mean you can't have cheap treat meals. I'm not even going to say cheat, like treat meals, if you're craving something, eat it. Like I do, and I recommend people do, but find foods that you like and it makes it a lot easier. Because people are always like, oh, eating healthy has to be boring. It's like, no, it doesn't. I mean, yes, you do need to eat your vegetables. But like, find vegetables you like, find fruits that you like, find lean proteins that you like. It doesn't matter what I like. If you don't like it and you're not going to stick with it, what good is it? And so I tell people like experiment, even like different spices and things. There's so many different spices and ways you can dress up, even if it's like chicken and broccoli, like there's so many ways you can dress it up with different seasonings. I love like the everything bagel
Yes.
seasonings.
So good.
Um, yeah. And then even just like, I like garlic, I like salt, just like basic things. But there's, like I said, Miss Dash has a bunch of different seasonings and things. Like you can find ways to dress up food to make it taste good. And like adding olive oil, it's a healthy fat, obviously portion control, you can add like oils and other fats to your food to make it taste better. So mainly I just suggest finding things that you like and stick with those. I eat very similar every day just because I found like staple foods that I love and I look forward to eating. People joke because I eat oatmeal sometimes like 3 or 4 times a day, but I love it. And I usually put like cinnamon and berries and like nut butter in it. And it's so good. And I just look forward to eating that. Like I usually have my vegetables and my meat or eggs or some sort of lean protein. And then I have like my oatmeal on the side. It's kind of like my dessert. So that's what I found. Or I love sweet potatoes or quinoa and different kinds of fruit. And that's, like I said, just for people, find what you like and stick with that.
That's so good. I love oatmeal. I think it's such a good food. It's so easy to make too. Most of the time it's quick, it's easy, it's healthy. You can do it in a really effective way.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all. Shout out Michael Chernow. Unofficial.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. His stuff is really good, especially the pumpkin seeds. That was the first time I ever tried pumpkin seeds and oatmeal. And I was like, this is amazing.
It's good. It's good. Well, cool. Kind of a follow up to that. Another kind of piece of the equation is recovery, taking care of yourself. So obviously you train super hard, you eat super well, and you're doing those amazing things. But if you're not recovering, if you're not taking care of your body, you're not doing certain things, you're probably not going to be as effective. So what are some things that you do on a daily basis, or you encourage people to do as they're, exploring this fitness journey to just make sure they're taking care of themselves and keeping their body in the best, position it can be in?
Yeah. So the number one thing I always recommend is sleep. People like it, once again, late watching Netflix or watching TV. And it's like, not like just go to bed. And something, yeah, Michael Chernow is like, nothing productive happens late at night. And that's something like I think about because it's like, usually after 8 o'clock, I'm tired from a long day. And if I'm like watching TV or what, I'm like, okay, at least like stretch while you're doing it. But getting sleep, at least 7 hours a night is ideal. But whatever you can get, if you're getting 5 right now, try and go for 5.5 or 6. But I recommend at least 7, if you can, ideally 8. In addition to that, like I love just going for walks, like getting blood flow, especially on my complete recovery days or my complete off days. Like you said, you need to get just like some movement in, even if it's a light walk outside. Well, it's really hot here in Vegas right now, so I'll walk and I'll sweat while I'm outside. But yeah, just like going for a walk and just getting that blood flow go, I feel like is super, super important. It makes me just feel good. Usually I do like 2 walks a day when I'm like on a complete off day. In addition to that, I like stretching and mobility, just getting my joints loosened up. I feel like that's good for recovery, especially a lot of us don't stretch as much as we should. So it's
Sure.
super important to make time for that, even if it's just like 10, 15 minutes a day.
I love that. Do you do any type of sauna or cold exposure, kind of a contrast or anything in that realm?
I never did like a contrast. I always loved Epsom salt baths. My doctor in New York was a huge fan of Epsom salt. So especially when I was competing, would probably be 3 to 4 days a week where I would take an Epsom salt bath. Now it's like 1 to 2. I probably should get better at that again. But that was something I just really enjoyed, especially going like before going to bed, because I found it just really relaxed me, relaxed my body, relaxed my mind, and got me ready for bed. And sometimes I would even like read in the bath just to really relax.
That's awesome. I love that. And I appreciate all that valuable information you just gave us, because I think that's super cool. And especially hearing it from someone who has competed at a high level and used that and seen it be successful. It's not like you're throwing something against the wall. You've tested it and it's proven to, work. That's amazing. Do you have any big goals or objectives you're trying to kind of take down in the near future? Or is your focus mostly on this program? Like, where are you kind of headed? What are some things you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, right now everyone keeps asking because I retired from CrossFit, like competing individually in October. So everyone's like, what are you competing in next? And I was like, I'm not. Like, I competed since I was 3 years old. I just turned 33. And I was like, it was a long time of competing. Like, I just want to chill. So nothing competing. Like you said, I'm focusing on my brand, and all the programs that we have, just because it's been so amazing getting to help other people and change their lives. And I'm passionate about fitness and working out, and I know not everybody feels the same way. And so I just want to, affect as many people as possible in a positive way. And, just showing them that they need to make time for themselves, even 10 minutes a day, like they'll feel so much better. And it's like a little bit adds up, just that consistency every day, making time for yourself. Like you said, you feel so much better. And like for me, I work out, like before I worked out because it was my job. And now I work out for that mental clarity aspect. I'm like, I just want to get away from, what I'm doing, any stressors or anything, and just focus on me. So working to just continue to build our brand. And yeah, we just released 21 Strong is our newest program. So we have a few other things in mind coming in the future, which I'm really excited for as well. Just continuing to grow that. And I mean, I used to joke about getting everybody in the world PowerAbs, having everybody walking around with their PowerAbs. But I'm like, if they're doing fit or they're doing 21 Strong, then just getting people healthier.
I love that. And like I said, I know I mentioned it earlier, but just the fact that you're pursuing, a path of trying to help make an impact on so many people, and you're doing it at such a high level. Like it's so cool to use fitness as a vehicle to help people and obviously improve their physical health, but the way it can impact their confidence, the way it can impact their discipline, the way they interact with other people in their family or friends, like all those things are tied together. And I think sometimes we lose sight of the connection between everything we do. But it's just so cool to see, the way you're making a big difference.
Thank you. And I feel like that's something that definitely like keeps me motivated and keeps me excited, to continue to do what I'm doing. We have an amazing Facebook group, and there's like people, and they're just like, oh, I've never felt confident, like in my bikini. And I just went to the beach for the first time. And like, I just felt great about myself. And just seeing those kind of stories are amazing. Or like, oh, I just tried on this pair of jeans that I haven't fit in for 10 years and I happen to keep them just in case. And now I finally can. Or we had this lady who's just turned 55 and she's like, I'm in the best shape of my life. Or like other people that are just like, I never thought I would have abs and now I do. Like, this is amazing. So seeing those kind of stories, just like, it's amazing. And I feel like competing is great, but it's nothing beats like knowing that you positively impact so many other people's lives.
No doubt. The fulfillment, I'm sure, is super strong.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I was like, selfishly, like, that's why I do it, partly. No, but it's like what keeps me good. Because, like everything, like even having a business, like it has its easy parts and the hard parts. And just like, if there's ever a day where I'm like, I just need to breathe. And like, then I just go into the Facebook group and it puts this big smile on my face. I'm like, okay, like, me and my team is amazing, and it's incredible what we get to do on a day-to-day basis. And we talk about that quite a bit, because it's like, everyone has their own jobs and like what they're doing, but I'm just so thankful that I've gotten to find my passion and share it with a bunch of other amazing people.
That is amazing. Kari, I can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast. This has been a really fun episode. And I know personally, I'm definitely going to be doing your 21 Strong Challenge. I really want to do it. I think it'd be fun to throw it in there, mix it up and explore kind of the stuff that you're putting out. Cause like I said, you're crushing it. And yeah, I just think it'd be a great program. So I'm definitely going to check it out. And I encourage anyone listening to this to definitely check it out. And thank you again. This has been a fun episode.
Of course. And thank you. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say for 21 Strong.
Let's go. I'll definitely let you know.